Welcome to Life's
Turns
with your host, Justin.
and Chelsey.
So today we're going to talk about a mother's forgiveness, all for Mother's Day this weekend. We're going to try to get into things like what are some of the things that our mothers have forgiven us for. We're also going to talk about some of the messed up situations we put our moms in. And the craziness that evolved after that. And then we're going to talk about accepting our moms now, like in adult life and stuff. And the relationship that's different as an adult as it was when we were children, I guess. Or younger. So yeah, here we go.
Let's do it.
So let's start off by asking, I don't know. So I did amends with my mom, I don't know, some time ago from my active addiction. And my mom was just like, yeah, okay, it was good. Like, yeah, let's get past this.
Yeah.
Right? But I guess I've made a living amends to my mom. I shouldn't say I guess. I have made a living amends to my mom, which is basically...
A living amends.
Yeah, so... Like, I could never come up with the amount of, like, money or, like, emotional heartbreak I put her through.
Right.
I can't write that. So the only way how I can write that is through a living amends. And a living amends is basically this. It means I can't promise her that I'm not going to relapse on drugs. That's like, I can't promise that. I'm not in control of that. My addiction is definitely 100% bigger than me. What I can promise her, though, is that I will adhere to a program of recovery that I know is impactful in a positive way.
Right.
And if I were to go back into active addiction, I've asked her not to talk to me. That was really difficult to do.
Yeah, that's smart, though.
Right? So when I made the amends, it was in the context of not just an interval of sobriety. At that point, I had figured out my higher power through a program of Alcoholics Anonymous or Cocaine Anonymous. Then from there, I confessed all the bullshit I did. And then I looked at my shortcomings and tried to correct them. And then from there, I went and made amends to all the people that I had wronged. Yeah. And obviously one of them, like my mom, was definitely one of them. And so I remember like calling her. So I couldn't physically see her because Alberta loved me at the time. They wouldn't allow me out of this beautiful province to go see my mom. And so there I call my mom and I'm like, look, I have to make amends to you. And she's like, why? I was like, because if I don't, I could relapse. You know, like I have to do this. And she's like, do I have a choice? I'm like, you have a choice. You don't have to say yes.
Yeah, she could totally say no.
And that's fine. And then, but I realized at that time, because I had said that I could relapse, I hostage took her.
Oh, totally.
So it was like the first time, it was really one of my first amends that I was making.
Wait, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If her or anybody else in that situation says no to your amends, then how does that affect the person who's trying to make an amends? Do you like if you're doing your steps and that's one of your steps, then what do you do? Like, are you just expected to accept that they don't want to hear it?
Yeah.
Then how do you get it off your chest type
move
thing?
On.
Oh.
Call your sponsor.
Yeah.
So basically when that happens, basically what you say is, look, you've done all you can do, right? And they say, yeah. Guess what? That's what God wanted for you.
All right.
Move on.
Yeah.
Who's the next person on your list? Knock it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to setting this up. Made the phone call. I was living at a halfway house here in Edmonton, and same halfway house. Actually, I was talking about the guy that I helped get out of jail.
Oh, okay.
You read that blog, right?
Yeah.
And same place. So I remember it like I was sitting on the front steps. I was having a cigarette. I smoked at the time, and the sun was coming down. It was a nice day, nice morning, drinking coffee, and I make the phone call. I say all this stuff, and my mom's like, okay, let's do it. What my mom didn't recognize is that I was going to list out all my behaviors. And I didn't say anything that I did. I mean, what was the point of that? You know how many times I've robbed her? Like, many times. You know, like gone in her purse, taken $10, $15, you know, all that stuff. You
I
know?
don't think I ever did that.
Oh, I for sure did that. $10 for a pack of smokes. Yeah, story. I won't do it again. All those false stories that mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here, right? Mm-hmm. No emotion, no meaning in any of that stuff. So I, I basically said, my behaviors this regard victimized you,
Yeah.
and I listed them out. And then I told my mom, I said, look, the only thing I can really provide you is a living amends if you want that. If you want me to make financial restitution, I'm willing to do that as well. And I said, my living amends is basically like I cannot say that I'm not going to ever use again. Like I said earlier in this podcast, I can't do that. But I will adhere to a program of recovery. And I have up to this point.
Yeah.
And so in saying that, my mom never asked for financial restitution. She was just like, there's no point. You probably need it more than I do at this point. You're starting your life over again.
Right.
And then that was that. And we went on. But I think the biggest validation that she got was, I remember, oh wow, this might get tough for me to talk about. So I took my mom to a nooner meeting here in Edmonton.
A nooner meeting?
So we have these meetings at noon.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there in this meeting, and somebody asked me to talk to the newcomer. And so I think I was like 3 years sober at that time. Mm-hmm. And my mom is sitting next to me in this fucking meeting.
Yeah.
And like my newcomer story is like, I had a shitty childhood like the rest of us, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment that stuff younger doesn't define me. Like that doesn't define me. Neither does my addiction. Mm-hmm. So like the premise of the newcomer speech is what happened, what it was like, and where you're at today. Well, what happened? It sucks, doesn't it?
Right.
That's addiction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It sucks. What was it like? Well, we all tried to commit suicide. That's what it's like.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
Where am I at today? Okay, so let's talk about happy endings. Mm-hmm. Right? Sunny days. And I said, I've been estranged pretty much from my mom up to that point from like 2008 to 2016.
Okay.
Like we talked, but not really, Yeah. And then the previous 2 years of my recovery, I actually started regaining a relationship again. And me and my mom were always close because it was just her and I.
Right.
And in this meeting, I start talking about how, I got my mom back. And, she's in the room.
Did she cry?
And, oh, for sure she
Absolutely.
did. It was a lot. It was a lot for her to take. And I was saying, whatever relationship you think you've ruined, you haven't. There's
that's a good one.
Forgiveness is always there. Mm-hmm. And it was heavy. And I think the big thing for my mom, or the thing that she recognized was, yeah, he is actually a part of a community. I made the amends that I was going to adhere to a program of recovery.
Right. And she got to witness it firsthand.
She's seeing it. These people know who he is. He's not a nobody here. Like, he walks in and these people are hugging him and, all this stuff. Right. And, and that was like and so I should preface, my mom, never went to anything public for me. So like school recitals and all that stuff.
Oh,
my mom never showed up. I think she just wasn't there. I think she came maybe once. And
do you know her reasoning, or do you just?
Well, my mom was
not
sick.
care? Okay.
When I was younger, She had mobility issues.
Okay.
So yeah, there was that. And then for my mom to be present in a place like that was pretty crazy. It was pretty outstanding. And yeah, that was a very valid moment, I think, even for both of us to recognize that it also set up the premise that it's my responsibility to be as healthy as I can possibly be in order to be a part of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't recognize that I'm being healthy, I haven't earned the right to be in a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized that that's even with my mom, as much as she would give me unconditional love and so on and so forth, the fact that remains is that it's still up to me to adhere to my responsibility in order to be a healthy person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll manipulate her, hands down.
Yep.
Right? And my mom wouldn't even see it coming. And even if she did, she wouldn't say shit.
Yeah.
She would just allow it to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, that was, and I can remember time and time again earlier in life, oh, I'm so sorry. But fuck, did I really ever mean that? Like, I probably never wanted to do it again, but I did it again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I can tell you now, there's no sorries. I don't say sorry. Like, me and my mom have probably the best relationship that I've ever had before in my life, all because of making that amends and her seeing it. Like her, my little brother's dad would always say to her, oh, he's not drinking. It's crazy. He's totally, like, they just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
My mom was like, no, like, he's changed. I can hear it on the phone even.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when she came here and saw it all,
she's probably like, just blown away. Hey.
Well, yeah, because it's especially that amount of time, like 8 years, we hadn't seen each other. Mm-hmm. Right. And then prior to that, I lived in Ontario for like 2 years. And so my mom saw me more often because I was geographically closer to her.
Right.
But I remember this one time, so we were going to get into like fucked up situations.
Yeah.
There was this one time I was at my mom's for May long weekend, and I decided that I needed to drink a whole 60 of Jack Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
By the end of the night, I was swimming in my own vomit on her floor.
Oh, my goodness.
And my mom was like, that was the defining moment I thought you were an alcoholic.
Yeah.
It's like, that's when I thought. Then. Yeah. She's like, that's when I realized that you might have a fucking problem. And the fact that I've had like severe DTs the next day and like probably should have went to the fucking hospital because my shaking and my dehydration was so bad.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, I didn't think you were going to fucking live through that. She's like, and then she's like, and then I just see you get up and walk out. She's like, fuck, I realized right then and there you had a serious, there was probably a problem then.
Right. Yeah. That reminds me of one time. Now, this is a serious enabling act right here, but it was already acknowledged to everybody that I was a terrible alcoholic and I needed to get treatment. I think this is when my family first started talking about it. But anyways, cut to the point. I was having severe DTs. I didn't have any alcohol or money. And I was shaking and convulsing so bad, sitting in a bathtub for whatever reason, butt naked, begging my mom to go get me a Mickey instead of me like going to a detox center or going to the hospital just to get me some alcohol. And my mom, I'll never forget the look on her face. Like, she was just like, yeah, okay, this is real now.
Yeah. You know what though? Even at that moment, right or wrong, she probably did the right thing.
Yeah, she went and got me a Mickey, but she's like, "Don't ever fucking ask me to do this again." And she knew because I had wound up in the hospital before having seizures because of like quick detox, unhealthy detox, I guess. And she didn't want that to happen, but she's like, "I'll do this for you once, but you're going to a detox center this weekend," and I did. So yeah. Those are those fucked up situations that we get them into, right? Yeah.
Like I remember too. So one time my mom was speeding on the highway, and Justin can't be a normal guy and just have like a fucking gram of weed.
No.
And this is when like marijuana was still illegal, I guess. And so Justin decided that he needed to have a full pound.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because
go big or go home, right?
So mom gets pulled over for 40K over, and
40K over.
like 40 kilometers over the speed limit, and so she's getting pulled over, and I'm like, I have drugs in the car, right?
Oh my God.
She's like, holy fuck. And we have the little one in the back, my little brother, crying his fucking brains out. Because my mom's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And we're in a rental car. My mom just brought this to my attention a little while ago. So I didn't smoke cigarettes at this time. And my mom's like, I need a cigarette. And I look at my mom and I'm like, Mom, it's a rental. There's no smoking. My mom's like, are you fucking kidding?
She's like, give me a fucking cigarette.
Fucking drugs in the car.
Yeah.
You have me pulled over. The fucking shithead in the back is screaming his fucking head off.
Yeah, and you're telling me no to a cigarette. Fuck you.
So that was an awkward situation. And then there was another time, I remember this. We're going through, I had to find baggies because, I was doing what I was doing. And we're going through the grocery store. I'm like, fuck it. It's a shithole town. It's just fucking like maybe 1,000 people. There's no way I'm finding baggies.
Yeah. And
so my mom looks at me and she goes, why don't you use fucking baby baggies? I was like, what? It's like baby baggies. Just fucking put it all in baby baggies. You can cut it up real nice. I was like, holy fuck. I guess so.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. And then so that's what I did. I bought all these baby baggies. And then I remember another time I pulled my dope out of my bag. Mm-hmm. And my mom had never seen like that much drugs at once. And, and I was like, it's just pot. And I'm pulling it out, and my mom's like, holy fuck, that's a brick of pot.
Just blown away.
Yeah, it was something else. And that wasn't even like, that was my personal. Like I was selling a bit of it, but really that was for me, for that time. Mm-hmm. Right. And then, so my mom is probably she's not when we drink together, we're pretty much the same. Okay. And so here in Edmonton, there used to be a bar called the Pig and Whistle. Me and my mom went to this bar. It was on White Ave, 99th Street. It's called the Empress now. Shout out to the Empress. And so anyways, we were at this particular bar, and we're drinking or whatever. And so my mom is like, in a relationship with her son's dad. Yeah. And so she says to me, she goes, so I'm your sister tonight. It's like, what?
Pardon?
She's like, I'm your sister right now. It's like, what? She's like, you want free drinks? I'm your fucking sister. So like, as much as I guess I put her in shitty situations, I was like a back and forth thing. Yeah. Really, right?
Would you say at that point you guys had more of a friendship than mother-son?
It was always like that. Yeah. We grew up together. My mom was really young when she had me. Yeah. So
you have mentioned this before, yeah.
So like my brother growing up with my mom, but my mom had more of a temper. Like my mom had a wicked temper. She would fuck me up. You have no idea. And I can't really hold her at fault for it. Like she had a thyroid condition too. Okay. So she really, like her blackout, she really didn't know what the fuck she was doing. Right. And then all of a sudden she come out of it and like Justin's on the floor. How the fuck did that happen? Mm-hmm. Like she shouldn't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so like now I know that she couldn't have did anything to stop it. Right. At the time though, it was fucking mad about it all.
Oh,
right?
Of course. Like, what the fuck are you doing, Mom?
Well, I instigated it.
Yeah, but still.
And so yeah, I mean, I see the difference now. But we've always had that relationship. And even now, I would say that we're more confidants with each other than we are like mother and son. I guess we are still mother and son. Mm-hmm. It's just different. And I think it's different between her and my younger brother. Like her and my younger brother, she's never really gotten angry at him. Like she's come after me, my mom.
Yeah.
Like put me against the fucking wall, you know? And I'm not a small dude. Like my mom is that takes a lot of balls to do that.
Yeah.
And she did it. And with my younger brother, she's just got more of a level head. She's older.
Yeah.
You know,
makes
and
sense. Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. My mom was saying to me a little while ago, she goes, you know, like when I was like in my adolescence, my mom was just like, I just wanted you out. She's like, it's not that I didn't love you. It's just I wanted you to, like, I need to get on with life.
Yeah.
And that's where she's at with my little brother. He graduated high school and she's like, I just can't wait for him to fucking be out.
Like, I'm sure there's a lot of moms who can relate.
Like he's got to fucking go.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Like he's got to fucking go. He's old enough now.
Yeah, it's that time.
Yeah. It's time for him to go. So I think that's where she's at. But I left. Like I was independent very, very young in my life. And my mom sheltered me a lot too when I was young.
Right.
It was like extremes of both ends.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
It was fucked up. Like she wouldn't let me cross the street. But then like 2 years down the road, I'm living on my own.
Yeah, just
like
holy big change.
Fucking huge.
Yeah.
Right? So what are some of the what are some of the things that well, I guess your mom forgave you from drinking, like when you asked her for that Mickey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your alcoholism, like have you ever talked about that to make amends for some of like some of your actions?
No, like I have you know what? Like, okay, I could look back. I know when I was 16 years old, before, like if I go before my alcoholic days, I remember all of a sudden I had this shift in my mentality, and I looked at my mom and I was like, I'm sorry for like how shitty I have been as a teenager, how badly I speak to you, how much disrespect I have towards you. We had this moment, and she's never forgotten it. She brings it up still to this day about how it meant the world to her. And then I don't think her and I have ever really, obviously we talk about my addiction all the time and whatnot. And she knows that I was just so lost and so fucked up, whatever. And she forgives me for it, and she's proud of me for where I am today. But I don't think I've actually ever sat down and specifically spoke with her about it the way you were saying, the way you did amends with your mom. I've never done that.
So the other thing that I've noticed, since my mom came here and saw me going to a meeting and all that stuff,
Yeah.
we don't talk about my addiction.
Yeah.
Because my addiction isn't a topic anymore. We don't even talk about my recovery. Like I don't talk. The only time that I talk about my addiction is to a newcomer in a meeting.
Right.
That's in the past. It's gone.
Yeah.
And even to talk about the process of recovery, it's a lot different today than what it used to be. I don't go to meetings all the time.
Yeah.
Like I go to random meetings most times. I don't even have a home group anymore. Like I go to AA, I go to CA, I go to all of the blue book friendly meetings.
Yeah.
Because I would rather be nomadic about it than to be particular to one group.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
And, I mean, I may go back to a home group if I find that group again that I really identify with. Mm-hmm. But I still go to meetings. I maintain my sobriety through those means, and I'm willing, ready, capable of sponsoring any person that needed to be sponsored, or doing a big book study with anybody who so wanted to do that over a weekend.
Yeah.
So like I'm always open to that service work, right? Mm-hmm. But also like the conversations that me and my mom have today are nothing to do with my recovery for the most part. Before, there was trepidation on my mom's side. I bet you there was a lot of trepidatious feelings about it. And the reason why I would say that is because my dad's drunk. He's not an alcoholic. So like my mom never, I don't think, and really ever believed that somebody could stop drinking and become air quotes sober. Right? I think she had a really hard time believing that. Yeah. She always thought that people just become miserable and assholes when they're not drinking.
Well, some people do.
Well, and alcoholics are very they are very ugly in their glass, and they're very angry out of their glass.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that's why meetings and steps and all that stuff really, really helps people. I can't advocate any more than that. I mean, you have to qualify yourself to be, if you're an alcoholic or not. Obviously, it's a big piece in you and I and our relationship in regards to our parents, right? So I think, like I said, today we don't even talk. Like, that's not even a discussion. We don't even talk about like what my recovery looks like, any of that. I think she now actually just trusts that I do what I do in order to participate in a world without addiction.
Right.
I think that's what it is. And now my mom probably endorses more activities that I am involved in than anything else before my past. I remember one time, like I was getting really serious in the lifestyle, like really serious. And I sent my mom a picture of my roll, like my pocket roll.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's
probably more money than she's ever seen ever.
Yeah.
Like just in cash.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to be flamboyant. And I called my mom after that, and the helicopter was above me. And I know this sounds like, yeah, right. No, it was above me, watching me. And my mom's like, are you living in fucking Vietnam? Like, where the fuck are you?
Because she could hear the helicopter.
She could hear the helicopter above me. And then finally the helicopter left. And I was telling her about putting her money on the street. And like me making money for her. Give me some money, I'll go buy some stuff, and we'll make some fucking money together, is what I'm telling her, right?
Yeah.
My mom's like, I've never heard you this focused before in your life. And she's like, Justin, you're fucking going way too deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I remember that, and I said, what the fuck are you talking about going in too deep? This is what it is. This is life.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see anywhere beyond that. And yeah, it was pretty fun. And then finally, when I got pinched and I went to jail and all that bullshit, I remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm going to South America. Like, I'm not staying here. Why the fuck would I stay here? For what? So you want to see me come to Colombia?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. That's where my mind was at. And then finally, I mean, obviously, even thoughts prevailed. I can't say cooler heads, but like better thoughts prevailed. And I realized that running obviously wasn't in my best interest. But there was definitely, a serious thought that I was gone. I didn't want to go through that. And to be able to, like, I guess that's the other fucked up thing. Me and my mom were able to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As much as my mom isn't a criminal.
Yeah.
Like, she's not a fucking criminal. Yet she's willing to be like, okay, well, I don't know, man. It's like play consigliere with her fucking gangster kid. You know what I mean? Like, it was fucked up. Like that again is a consequence of being fucked up. That kind of situation. I mean, those talks don't happen. My mom sometimes has talked to me.
That's a common thing, no.
Well, and like, we'll talk a bit about some of the PTSD stuff that I've gone through. Mm-hmm. Like, I've seen hands chopped off. And my mom's like I've disclosed that to my mom. My mom's like, no wonder you were fucked up using drugs.
Yeah.
Who the fuck, like you don't deal with that shit just normally, like normal people go tell the police. You just saw the guy fucking chop the guy's hand off. What are you gonna do? Go tell the police?
Yeah.
What are you, fucking stupid? Like so yeah. Like, I mean. And in those moments, I can see the enabling compassion.
Yeah.
The justification. Mm-hmm. Right? And
how about denial?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think my mom was in serious denial for a long time with my active addiction.
Yeah, my mom was very much so.
She just, like, what?
Well, like I told you off air, there was times when, okay, so I'll just quickly backtrack. I got sober and I was sober for 8 months and my family thought that was it. I was going to be sober. But the thing is, I didn't do a single thing for myself.
For life.
I just abstained and I was miserable. I was living the worst life ever. Yeah, okay, I wasn't drinking, but that didn't matter. And then
you might as well have been.
Yeah, I think I would have been nicer if I was.
Yeah.
And then I did relapse, and then I let my family know right away. So it was only for about a week. And then from that point on, for about 8 months, I was in and out of using and being sober. And then I would tell my family I was sober, because there's always that little area where you can drink and people not actually know. It's before you go too far, or for me anyways.
Yeah.
Unless they smelt me. But like my behavior was still normal enough for them to not know otherwise. And then my behavior would start to change, and my sister would know right away. She would say to my mom, like, she's drinking again. And my mom would say, oh, no. Chelsey told me that she's only having 1 or 2 drinks a day to keep the edge off, to keep from going and having withdrawals. And I haven't even asked my mom, but like, did you really believe that an alcoholic doesn't have just 1 or 2 drinks a day to avoid withdrawals?
Well, I mean...
And my sister would flat out be like, no, she's fucked up. She's messed up. She's either doing drugs or she's drinking again. It's one or the other. And my mom would just be like, no, she said she's not. And I hope my mom just didn't want to see it. She wanted to believe that, no.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the dishonesty? About
being
that?
Dishonest?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I feel shitty about it, but at the same time, in that frame of mind, like, there was no me being honest. It's
a gulper, right?
Yeah, like.
So, like I said, I felt really. So that shitty guilt feeling would perpetuate my using with my mom, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd think about it and be like, fuck, I need to get happy. Go, right?
Yeah.
Now, because of that amends process that I went through, it's a real amends. Like, there's real forgiveness. So like we called this episode of Mother's Forgiveness. They will forgive. I think most mothers, probably like 97%, 98% of them will forgive.
Yeah.
It's us who never accepts it.
Oh yeah.
And because we don't accept it, we're like remember I was saying in the last episode, like, yeah, fucking right, you know what, fucking who guts, right? Fuck you, like, and that used to be my attitude until finally I accepted face value of what my mom was saying, or anybody in my life, right? People aren't out to get me, I had to really realize that, but I also had to realize it in a fundamental way that my mom was not lying to me. As much as she's never lied to me, my mom's not just saying shit to make me feel good. She's saying it so that we can move on.
Yeah.
She really means it. Right? So like, yeah, so that whole entire process of amends, so on and so forth, my mom's forgiveness and acceptance never changed. It was me who changed in the context of accepting it for what it really meant. And I think that happened because I had to go and earn it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's take my situation, for example. Seems I don't believe that. I feel like what my mom and I have done is just kind of avoid it. We haven't gone into details. It's just kind of a vague, like, sorry, I was a fuck up for a few years there and I was consumed by my addiction. And my mom's kind of like, yeah, well, you're better now. You're improving every day. That's amends. That's obviously not amends. Where do I start? Where do I begin? Like, how specific do I have to get? Like, hey, mom, this one time I did this. Or, hey, mom, I fucking lied.
Let me ask you a question. Who's the amends for? You or her?
Isn't it for... Well, it's for both of us, isn't it?
Nope.
For me?
100%. Because she's going to forgive you anyways.
Yeah.
The only reason
Well, she'll probably just say, I've already forgiven you. And for whatever reason, that pisses me off, though.
Yeah, because... well, and this is the reason why. Well, I'm going to suggest this.
Okay.
Is because you haven't earned it.
Yes, there you go. That makes total sense.
You haven't earned it.
Yeah.
And the other... So I've said this
before. My mentality is you can't just fucking say that. You can't just forgive me.
Yeah. And that's because you haven't forgiven yourself.
I guess not.
That has nothing to do with her not forgiving you.
No.
You're not accepting what she's saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing about this is, so my little brother has not forgiven me and won't even talk to me today.
Yeah.
After my amends to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the amends. that mean more to me than the ones where my mom was like, yeah, I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's another amends I had to make where somebody just fucking, you didn't remember this, you didn't remember that, you didn't remember this. And they were, all of these situations, they were reinforcing the behaviors that I was apologizing for.
Yeah.
But they wanted specificities
Right.
of how I wronged them.
Like that time that you did this. And
so remember I was saying like, I'd rob my mom.
Yeah.
And I would lie to her.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that I, hurt you financially.
Yeah.
And I lied.
And your mom didn't expect you to be like, that time you took $20
I didn't go through inventory.
Right. Okay.
Right. This person wanted inventory.
Yeah.
Or like, you forgot about this. Forgot about that. And that's fine. So I sat there and I was like, exemplified a little bit of humility and humbled myself and, let them unload.
Mm-hmm.
And then said, at the end of all of it, I was like, I really do apologize. And you have to say the definition of apology, like your definition of apology. And then after you do that, you have a choice to say, even in that moment, I hope you can accept all this, but I really don't want to continue a relationship with you. I just needed to make amends with you.
Right.
You can't do that.
Okay.
I mean, that's probably not what you want to do with your mom.
No.
but you know what I mean? Like the people that you need to make amends to. But there's there's a reason why the steps are not, they're 1 to 12, not 1, 9, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
there's a reason why there's
an order for a reason.
Because also, what are you earning to get to amends? Well, you have to understand the concept of spirituality, God, whatever your understanding is.
Yeah.
Then you have to go and do your confession, basically. Write your personal defects, your shortcomings, and try to get rid of those as best as you can, and you'll find that there's very little shortcomings that you actually have. Very, very little. And you think that there's a huge list.
I was just going to say, because I feel like the opposite. I feel like I'd be writing for days.
You think there's a huge list, but there's very, very little. And then when it gets down to it, eventually, there's like 3 or 4 that really mull around. And then after a couple of years, there's like 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden one will pop up. But that's the adherence to continuing with the vigilance of honesty with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That's what that is. And then when you go to make amends, you know what that amends means because you've put how much work into it, how much self-work have you put into? Because right now, I would suggest one of the reasons why you may not be accepting your amends is because you don't feel any different.
I do feel different.
Okay.
In a lot of, I won't say completely, of course. In many, many areas, I do feel different. But in my relationship with my mother, I don't. So I can feel it and tell that I still hang on to stuff that allows me to be angry at her and angry at myself.
So I guess I would suggest this. A program of recovery is an overhaul, and it's a drastic overhaul.
Yeah.
There will be nothing that is the same.
Yeah.
Nothing by the time you're done. And I think that's the reason why. Because we also say holding on to any old ideas will send you right back to where you started from.
Yeah.
Right? So in saying that, like you said, I do feel different, but there are pieces of me that aren't different.
Yes, exactly.
And this is what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. It's an all or nothing thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a middle of the road thing. And as much as your mom probably wants you to accept that forgiveness in that nonchalant way, it's you who has to build it up to something more.
Right.
And do the work in order to be able to accept it. And I can tell you this, the most freeing feeling in the world is not having a resentment.
Oh, I can imagine. I can only imagine.
And that's the only way that you're ever going to find yourself in a place of forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I think another awkward situation that I put my mom in active recovery.
Yeah.
We went to Jasper and she came out here before. We went up the gondola. My mom is afraid of heights. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah, my mom's petrified too.
So, remember I was saying I went to a boarding school down in Southern Ontario?
Yes.
So when me and my mom had to go and visit that, we both had never been on a fucking plane in our lives. And we were laughing like fucking hyenas. A bunch of fucking jackals on this plane. And we're like downing gravel. in order to like stay calm. We're getting on this fucking plane and we're just laughing. And so yeah, I mean, obviously me and my mom can fly now. There's no issue. But all of a sudden, I'm telling her about the gondola and it's a cable and it's a car and we're going to go up the side of a mountain and all this stuff. My mom really has no idea of how big a mountain is, right? So we're coming into Jasper and she starts seeing the mountain. She's like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, these are the mountains. Like there's no picture that does justification in how big these things really are, right? And so we get there to the gondola thing, and then next thing you know, we're there, and my mom starts freaking out because she can feel how like shifty it is. Like it starts
not stable.
I saw her face go fucking white.
Yeah,
just white, and she's holding on.
She's suddenly a ghost.
she's holding on, and we're going up this fucking thing, and I'm just as freaked out.
Yeah,
really. I'm like, holy fuck! And she's like, do you see how thin that cable is?
Yeah.
And there's not just her and I. There's like 10 people in this fucking thing going up the side of a mountain, right? Oh, yeah. So when my mom comes out next, we're going to go down to Banff and they do helicopter rides.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to jump in the helicopter and fly through the ice fields and see how my mom deals with that. So that's the other side of like situations in recovery. You know, like me and my mom, I was telling that story about how we were drinking in a bar and all that stuff. And then, so now it's like, these are the kinds of things that we do with each other that puts us in that place of like, you know, whatever, like we're in something that has that kind of like, I don't know, how would you put like, we're not in control.
Yeah.
Because that's what alcohol would do to me and my mom. Like, we're just not in control of the situation anymore. Just like, but I'm your sister now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I guess so. What's your name?
Yeah, what am I calling you?
What's the lie tonight?
Let's get our story straight quick.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like, so that's how that changed, right?
One fucked up situation I put my mom in when I was actively using and drinking, and this is me getting very honest with everybody listening to. I think I was drunk as fuck, or I was just going from the withdrawal stage to the back to being loaded stage.
Oh yeah.
And I was super depressed, like beyond depressed, and I was suicidal. Actually, my poor little sister was put in this situation as well, and they knew it. I think it was my mom see me naked again. And I think I was going to hurt myself, and they had to call the police, and I didn't know they had called the police to come because they were worried for my safety. And they were standing in the hallway, and I came out of whatever room it was. Obviously, details are a little bit fuzzy. But I came out, and there was 2 policemen standing there, and I looked at my mom like she was the worst person in the world, and I was like, you fucking called the police. And well, like now I look, of course they're going to call the police. Yeah. Like I'm fucking depressed. I'm threatening to kill myself. I'm loaded. I'm high, like all of the above. And I can't imagine what my mother and my sister felt in that moment. Like they were obviously terrified. I think my sister's the one who snuck out of the house and called the police. And I just remember begging the police not to take me. My mom dumping my 2-6 out in front of me. And I was pissed right off about that. Then I got taken away, and the police took me to the hospital.
Isn't it crazy how much we fight the help?
Yeah.
There's nothing that compels us to stop.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Like, oh, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
See, and these are the things too.
Oh, and you know what? I totally embarrassed my mom, I'm sure, at that point, because...
You're naked.
Because
what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, no.
Like, and then it's not enough that she had to call the cops. Fuck, you're naked.
Again, yeah. But then I think if I recall correctly, I was going to go willingly with the police, and then I wasn't. And then at some point I was in handcuffs. And I slipped out of the handcuffs very easily, and then I was gonna leave, or I did try and like run down the street. I don't know. Anyways,
were you still naked at this
No,
point?
no, no.
God.
Oh my God, no. I was fully clothed. And then, then I was back in handcuffs and I was put into the cop car. And the whole time I was like just putting on this act and joking with the police officers. And even they were cracking jokes back with me. And they're like, well, at least she's friendly. At least, she's in a good mood. But inside I was literally dying. Like, I was not happy. I was so upset. And then I got walked into the emergency room, and they obviously said I was a risk to myself, and they were going to keep me for overnight observation. And I remember walking in and feeling so goddamn fucking ashamed and embarrassed because people are looking at me, right? Suddenly that buzz I had was wearing off real fucking fast, and all I could think of was crying, but I better wait until they put me in a room. At that point, I just wanted to be like, oh my God, I wish I could just rewind and not say that one sentence or not do that one thing that told my family I was ready to hurt myself, right? Oh my God, I can't.
Did that put you in a place where you stopped being honest with them about what you would do to yourself?
I don't know. I can't remember if that was the time, because there was a time that I did stop being honest with people about my depression. Because I think there was more than one incident where they were scared for my safety. But then there was a point where I just closed off completely. Like, I didn't tell anybody how low I was feeling. And probably for that reason, because I was humiliated and I humiliated them.
It's crazy how we fall in that same trap, eh? Yeah, it's pretty wild. I was as you were talking, I was just thinking about the anger I would get when, like my mom would be around and I'd be drinking or whatever, and me and her significant other, or like my little brother's dad, the anger that we would like have towards each other as we were drinking, so on and so forth. And like the arguing and the fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think to myself now, like, how fun was that for anybody fucking around listening to us
awkward and
shout at each other and like, fucking idiot and blah, blah. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm so glad that I don't drink anymore. I mean, I'm just grateful for it. And then the other things is, like I said, leaving those messages on my mom's phone, like, this is the sound of me dying.
Yeah.
Fuck, could you imagine that? Like,
no.
Like, and then like, you know, fast forward a couple of years and like, sorry.
Right? Like, oh my God.
Like, and then she's like, yeah,
sure. Yeah.
okay,
All good.
yeah,
All good.
No, let's carry on.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's us. It's not them. Like, you would forgive your daughter for anything under the fucking moon. You know you would.
Yeah.
But you see on the other end how you have to earn it. It's us who makes it harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
especially looking at it from different points of view or different states of mind, like compared to how I thought in that situation, compared to when I was 6 months sober and I look back at it, and then compared to now, it's almost like the further into recovery I get, the more shitty I feel about those situations, because I'm able to look at it more clearly.
Yeah, let's get you into
a 12-step program.
Well, big book study. Go do a big book study. You'll feel better. Yeah, it will. You'll feel it'll change your perspective drastically. Yeah. Because I don't know why that book does what it does, but it does what it does, man, and it really changes your whole perspective, and it's continuously changing throughout life because of it. It's crazy the way how, I don't know why it works the way it works. I don't ask anymore. I just know that it works.
Just allow it to work.
Yeah, and then I fucking go with it, right? Any other accepting our moms. How many times has your mom embarrassed you? I got a good one. So my mom used to have a bunch of...
I feel like you just saved me there.
my mom had baby books, like album books of me.
Oh yeah, like photos. Yeah.
So this has nothing to do with acceptance, but my mom lost all of it.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I remember my mom having to tell me that she had lost it, and I could see the guilt in her face. And I don't have any of that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Like, not
she
a
was
big
just
deal.
dreading
She's
it.
like, oh my God. Well, and like, you know, I come from a French family. So like my mom wants to, you know, embarrass the fuck out of me with some girl and show this girl all these embarrassing fucking photos of me when I was like, you know, naked in a fucking bathtub or whatever, you know? And yeah, so like there's none of that to be shown. And my mom's like half, you know, upset that can't be there.
Yeah.
And then also she's like, you know, I don't have that to pass on.
Oh.
Kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So
bothers her more than you, though, obviously.
Oh, probably. Because she's like, I was like, fuck, I'm all good with that. Shit. You know, that is a fucking bullet. Like, you have no idea we just dodged. Shit. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. And so that was a good one. I remember, though, for a long time as a kid, because my mom never really came to those public functions, like I was saying.
Right.
I didn't accept my mom. I actually used to make fun of my mom, like, viciously with my friends.
Oh, no.
And they never even met her.
Oh, no.
So I would, like, you know, get on a pulpit and, like, make this, you know, give them this imaginary idea of what my mom looked like, and then fucking just beat her up.
Oh.
You know? And, like, it was horrible. It was horrible. But that's what and I think a lot of it was because I just didn't. It wasn't that I didn't love my mom. I didn't like her. Like, it's not that I didn't like her or anything. It was just like, I don't know. It was fucked up. I just had a hard time accepting that was my mom, I guess. I don't know. And then finally, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I always did accept her. I don't know. I just know I did that. I used to do that. And then I think recently I've come to an understanding that I understand unconditional love as a son does to his mother. I don't think I ever really knew that.
Yeah.
Until maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
I think I had this.
After your amends?
Well, about the same time, because I had this codependent love for my mom. And I was the kid who used to say, like, I was like 22, 23 years old, and I'd be like, so when my mom dies, I need counseling now. Yeah. And like, my mom was only like maybe 38 or 40 or whatever. She's 40 something years old when I was in my early 20s, you know? So like, there's no way my mom's dying at fucking 50 years old or whatever. Right. So like, so saying that, I mean, it was just codependence is how I, you know, where my love developed from. Yep. Now it's different. I'm not codependent. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't give a fuck if my mom died.
Well,
but
yeah, of course.
But I'm not going to be like, it's the end of my world. Right. You know, like that. It's not that either. Yeah, yeah. So I think there's a big growing piece from that, you know, that happened. And I can actually understand to a degree of what fundamental or like what fucking a good, loving, unconditional love relationship looks like that's not based on codependence, where we need to, like, you know, thrive off of each other in order to have that. Have you ever had that with your mom? Like that code? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That was made very clear when I was in treatment, because at the treatment facility there is a big area spent on your relationship with your mom. And you have to write a mom letter, and then you have to read it to your imaginary mom in a circle, and then everybody watches you read it and gives you your feedback. And Jesus Christ. Yeah. And I was one who was really like stone cold. It took me a lot to show any emotion whatsoever until I did that damn mom letter. And then one of the other ladies in my group gave her feedback that there's a codependent relationship, and then so did the counselor. And I was like, well, who? Like, she's codependent, I'm codependent. And they're like, both of you. And then they asked me why I felt a certain way about part of my letter. And then the second I opened my mouth to say anything, just tears. Like,
I went from this 3-4 weeks in not showing any emotion to this basket case in this circle talking to my imaginary mother. Oh my God, it was just outrageous. And then they're like, yeah, Chelsey, that's a codependent relationship. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think in all fairness, though, I think all of us in active addiction, I mean, our parents become addicted to the toxicity that we create from our active addiction as much as we get addicted to manipulating them into it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a back and forth.
It just, for me anyways, it was just second nature to manipulate. I don't think I was even aware that I was doing it, or my addicted brain was just doing it. Like, I look back now and I'm like, fuck.
Well, it's denial, right? Didn't even know.
Yeah.
Didn't even know I lied.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like that. Yeah. It's crazy. And like I said, I think as much as treatment gives us, there's a thing that happens after treatment that we have to continue in order to earn that acceptance and forgiveness.
Yeah,
right?
Treatment's not enough. That is just break and open the box of of demons.
Did your relapse happen after treatment or before?
No, before. I spoke with my doctor. I said I have a problem, and then he told me to try and start lessening how much I drink every day, because he asked me if
reduction.
And then I didn't even understand what alcoholism was, except I didn't realize how deeply I was into it. I didn't know who to turn to, who to talk to, and nobody for a while was aware how bad it was for me until I started just getting DTs in front of family members and whatnot. And then,
because apparently being naked and having fucking cops called on you is like a normal thing in your family.
No. It wasn't until then. It wasn't until then that people knew, because I kept it a big secret. I always made sure I had enough liquor to avoid
you were
shaking.
A closet drinker.
For a long, long time. So my family didn't realize. That's what I mean. It went from one extreme to the next. Like, all of a sudden, they just thought I partied too much or too often. They thought it was a weekend thing.
What kind of work were you doing at that time?
I wasn't working at the time. When I got really bad into it, I just and that's I think what made me get really bad into it. I lost a job, and then I had a bunch of money saved up, so there was no reason why I couldn't drink in the morning. The next day, I was unemployed.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I went into the life, when I like really broke bad.
Yeah.
I would maintain not drinking, because like the people that I was around, you couldn't be fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? And if you got caught getting fucked up, boy, watch out. Like, watch the fuck out. And by the end of it all, I was like drinking in the morning. I hired a driver.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I hired a driver driving me around. I had a van with no back seats, and I had a fucking fridge in there. You name it. I was living the life. You know, as they say, I was wearing it at that point.
Yeah.
And I was so far away from my controllers and my handlers, I didn't think that they could see across the country. Yeah. But I mean, eventually I got pinched, and then I got pinched again. And I got pinched. The second time I got pinched, it was like small beans pinched. Like, what the fuck are you doing with like personal amounts of fucking coke on you? You stupid? What are you doing? You're fucking using, aren't you? And, yeah, that was the demise, so to say. But yeah, I was the same way. Like, can't drink in the morning, can't do, and you start making boundaries about your drinking.
Yeah, and then suddenly I didn't really have to have boundaries because I wasn't working, and then that's when I just like it got really bad, and then like I said, the whole naked scene, one of many, that all happened, and then so I went to a detox center, and I was there for 5 days. Came out, went to a meeting. And I didn't even know how to recover. Honestly, I'll just say that. I didn't know how. I just thought abstaining was enough. And nobody in my family really had a clue, except they all thought they did, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And they all have their 2 cents. Just don't drink.
Yeah. And that drove me crazy. And like I mentioned before, for like 8 months, I was just miserable as fuck. And then I relapsed and went hard off and on for 8 months. And holy, is it ever true that when you relapse, you're way worse than you were before?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my God, like this whole other Chelsey just came out, and she was just out of control. And then I told my mom, like, fuck, I'm smoking meth now. Like, I better go to treatment. Like, I am sick. I'm going to die. If it's either not by me killing myself, then somebody else is going to do it because I'm doing drugs with complete strangers. I was disappearing for days at a time. And then I'm glad that the wait to get into treatment wasn't much longer than what it was, because I probably wouldn't have made it. And then I went to treatment, got out, and I've been good ever since.
It's crazy how, yeah. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That whole fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Addiction's nuts.
It is nuts. And there's...
The hell we put our parents through.
Yeah.
Right? Honor thy mother, man. Ode to the moms for like, if there's any advice that you could give moms out there, what would you say? What's the best?
Don't enable.
Tactic, and what's enabling? Paint a clear picture of what enabling is, because that's so vague.
Okay, well, that is pretty vague. From my personal experience, don't ever give them money. Just don't do it. Don't, even that time when my mom gave me that Mickey, was that the really right decision, or should she have taken me to a hospital?
Well, taking you to the hospital, you could have died in the waiting room. I've seen that happen here.
Oh, Jesus.
So, because they don't really see it as anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they don't. Like,
Yeah.
the nurses look at you and they're like, this is an emergency triage.
Yeah.
If the police bring you in, we'll probably give you a bed.
Yeah.
So really, if we even fall back on Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, they would have said, yeah, give her a thimble full.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They would have. Was it right that your mom was put in the position to do that?
No, fuck, I'm an asshole. Yeah, I'm such an asshole for doing that.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, but we are what we are in the moment. And if it wasn't her, it could have been somebody even worse.
Yeah.
Right? Or
if I wouldn't have got it from her, I would have figured out a way to get it from somebody else.
I mean, the situation is the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, yeah, that's the situation is the situation. So there's no point in looking at that. But
what
enabling,
about like walking away? Like cutting me off.
My mom did that.
I think cutting me off, is maybe, well, I can't really say whether or not it would have helped me, but.
What about giving them a place to live? I will not give a using addict a place to live unless there is a defined line of going to treatment, and I will be more forthcoming in giving a place to live to an addict I don't know than an addict I do know. I will not do it for a family member. Is basically what I'm getting at.
Right, yeah.
And the reason for it is because I can't help a family member, but I can help a stranger. Because family members don't listen to family members.
No, they don't.
But a stranger will listen to a stranger. For why that works,
it's so
I don't
true,
know
though.
why
it's
that
true.
works, but it's the real.
I was given a place to live when I no longer had a job, and it was by a family member, and that was when I spiraled out of control, right?
Oh, for sure.
Drunk all the fucking time. I wasn't going to be thrown out onto the streets, right?
But if you were on the streets drunk, how many times do you think you would have went into the drunk tank?
Probably a lot.
Yeah, and then secondly,
I've been in the drunk tank.
And then secondly, how many times? See, they're not going to hurt you until you have nothing to rob.
Yeah.
So how quickly are you going to run out of money if they're taking your money away from you because you're so loaded that you're just passed out on the street?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be gone real quick.
Right. I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but you're going to run through your money quicker on the street.
No, that's what I mean. Like
and now you got to pay for hotel rooms every night, so on.
Yeah.
So you end up you're incurring more costs in order to drink because you have nowhere to go.
Exactly.
So the fact of the matter is you have money. If you have money and you have a place to stay for free, well, then you're just going to spend it on bullshit.
Yeah.
But the second they put you on the street, well, now you got to buy your booze, you got to buy a hotel room, you got to da. So now every day it's costing, instead of costing you a 2.6 and some blow, it's now costing you $300 a day.
Yeah, a 2.6 and some blow and somewhere to sleep.
Yeah. So I agree. I think that those are, in wrapping this show up, I think that's the thing too, is enabling. I think my mom's going to come on the show next week.
Okay, cool.
And we're going to talk about, from her words, the hell that she went through and, identify the things that worked as a mother, having somebody who has had longevity in recovery.
Right.
Or is having longevity in recovery.
Yeah.
Right. So So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Hopefully she'll be able to do it. I can't make any promises, but
It would be really awesome to hear from her, like her side of it, her perspective.
well, and she's tough
Personal
about it.
experience.
Well, she's tough about it. She's not gonna bullshit anybody.
Yeah, I believe
Right?
it.
Like she'll lay it down. Anyways, that's it for this Mother's Day special. And yeah, so subscribe, tell all your friends, and yeah, share the wealth of the show. You can get us at Instagram. What is it? Life on Life's Terms podcast.com.
And Chelsey _ Life on Life's Terms.
And we have Twitter accounts.
Chelsey Kapler. Mine's very simple.
And then I think it says I think yours also says Life on Life's Terms as well.
I don't know.
I can't remember. And then there's a Life on Life's Terms 1, Justin R. bunch of shit. You'll see like you'll see like a lion or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you can also check the after the show blog at www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com. And then there's minds.com. Just punch in Life on Life's Terms on minds.com. And there's more up-to-date things that we just can't publish on other venues because we're increasingly being censored again and again and again and again. So,
but not on Minds.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. You can contribute as well to Minds through through blockchain, and you can go on Facebook and check out Life on Life's Terms podcast on Facebook as well. Now, there's also a questionnaire out there about what merch should we get. Should we get stickers, T-shirts, mugs, hats?
Yeah.
What the fuck is it you guys want? Let us know. I'm going to put the post up today, and go there and tell us what you want, what you're interested in getting, and we'll get more of it so that you guys get a better discount on it and help support the cause, because we're tired of like eating craft dinner.
Yeah, jeez.
You guys have a beautiful Mother's Day. Thanks to all the mothers out there.
Bye, guys.